Zipper rolls out to the right, pitches off to Taylor, and Taylor's to the 20, down to the 15, down to 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Touchdown, Billy Taylor! Billy Taylor scored a touchdown from 21 yards out. The crowd goes berserk. It was November 22nd, 1969. That they came to Barry, Michigan, all dressed in maize and blue. The words were said, the prayers were read, and everybody cried. But when they closed the coffin, there was someone else inside. Oh, they came to Barry, Michigan, but Michigan wasn't dead. And when the game was over, it was someone else instead. 11 Michigan Wolverines put on the gloves of gray, and as the organ played the victors, they laid Woody Hayes away. Under center is Wangler at the 45. He goes back. He's looking for a receiver. He throws downfield to Carter. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Welcome to the Michigan Man Podcast on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V-Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew, for Wolverine fans from coast to coast. Go Blue, and welcome to our Michigan Game Day show for Michigan State Week. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. This game is and always has been huge for both teams and their fan bases. It means something to everyone in our state. Jonathan Smith realizes that too. We'll hear a few cuts from his Monday presser in just a few minutes. Then we'll be joined by John Borton from the Wolverine magazine to discuss how big this game is for Michigan. Before that, let's get it rolling with my view from Section 17. For Michigan, this is not only a chance to play and beat their rival in their place, but an opportunity to string together back-to-back wins, keep getting better, and stay on a path that has all of their goals well within reach. For Michigan State, it is, as always, their Super Bowl. Everyone knows the Spartans have had a disappointing season so far. There is immense pressure on Jonathan Smith to have his team prepared for this game and win it. There are even whispers his future hinges on the game. That could be. We've seen this scenario play out over the decades. Strange things have happened in these games. It's a rivalry that brings out the best and too often the worst in both the players and their fans. That's why it's on national TV Saturday night. The Spartans need a win. Michigan needs it because it's their rival, and they want to stay in the Big Ten and playoff race. That is a recipe for a tough, physical game between two teams that flat out just don't like each other. It should be fun. Jonathan Smith opened his Monday presser with a few thoughts on what the game means to Michigan State.
We all know what this week is. Huge rivalry week, which is great things. Again, one of the best things about college football. This game being the most meaningful game on our schedule. We did flip the switch pretty quickly yesterday as a team, digested some of the things from the film, and then moved forward. This game means a ton to our players, but also former players, the program. You think about alumni, all of it. It's a very important, meaningful game, and so that creates a huge opportunity for us, especially kind of where we're at with things. This season hasn't gone our way, all those things. I think it comes at a good time to galvanize this group and have a great week of work getting ready for Saturday night.
He was asked what he learned about the rivalry last year in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, I think living the experience, the passion of it, of the actual game, lead up and post. I learned that going in. I think about the preparation, of using more of that fuel, that passion for our preparation, and then obviously playing with it within a disciplined approach. In football, it does. It comes down to doing your job at a high level. So we want to foster a lot of that fuel to be able to play our best.
A reporter asked him how often during the course of the year does he hear about this game from Spartan fans.
Being here now, going into middle of the year two, by far the number one topic when you're talking in exchange with a fan, call it a fundraising or an event or at the basketball, hockey games. This is by far the number one topic that comes up with fans.
My guest today says Michigan needs to come out fast, get a lead, and take the fans out of this one. Easier said than done, but as he says, if Sparty hangs around into the second half, watch out. With us next is the longtime editor of the Wolverine magazine, John Borton. So stay with us. Joining us on our Michigan Game Day segment as we get ready for a Saturday night trip to East Lansing is senior editor John Borton from the Wolverine magazine. Welcome back, John.
I appreciate it, Mike. It's good to be with you as always.
Well, John, when we messaged last week, we might have to dig out our torches and pitchforks sound effects if Michigan lost Saturday. We don't have to. We're safe for another week. You know, after what happened the week before in L.A., the fan base was restless, as we know, but what we saw was a workmanlike, more vintage kind of Michigan performance on both sides of the ball Saturday, wasn't it?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And the backs were to the wall because that performance against USC was just out of character, it seemed like. And there was frustration on both sides of the ball, and Michigan kind of bottomed out on defense. And as we've roundly heard since then, there were quote unquote hard conversations that took place inside the Schembechler Hall, and this was a team that geared up to turn it around and be different. And they were different, dramatically so, against Washington in that 24-7 win. They were creating turnovers. They were playing excellent defense against a team that is pretty capable offensively. You just wondered if USC did what it did, what was Washington going to do to this Michigan team? Well, the fact of the matter was Damon Williams Jr. and that crew really got handcuffed. And we know about Jed Fish. He is an excellent coach that coached here before, and he's got a good Washington team this year. But Michigan really buckled down and turned it around, which sets up a possible really good run for the Wolverines starting this week at Michigan State.
Well, you know, John, after the USC game, maybe even before, I was talking to Michigan fans that, seemed to think the Michigan offense was sort of helter-skelter in its play calling, and I disagreed with that. Even on Saturday, you can see what Chip wants to do, but the execution with a young team, young quarterback, isn't always there consistently. But I think his off-balance play calling has been very good so far. How about you?
Oh, I think so, and it certainly was good on Saturday. It didn't always turn out. They had, the dropped ball on fourth down that might have been a touchdown, in that first half. And so they got off to a little slower start, but they certainly were keeping Washington off balance. Defense pitches in and gives them some good field positions, and all of a sudden, it's a different story. And really credit to, you look at, that's a situation where you've got a freshman quarterback and he's operating against another quality team, and all of a sudden he's operating without his starting left tackle, without his two top tight ends, and without his top running back. And yet they were able to get some things done there. And credit to the guys that stepped into those situations. Zach Marshall at tight end coming through with the biggest game of his career. And certainly Jordan Marshall stepping in and up at running back. We know what he can do, but just all around. Blake Frazier coming in and filling in at left tackle. It was just a lot of performances that were very encouraging. They always talk next man up. Well, this was a next man up showcase game for the Wolverines. And as you mentioned, Chip Lindsey was a big part of that, directing the show.
You mentioned Jordan Marshall. I really enjoyed watching him on Saturday. And he looked like the guy we saw in the bowl game against Alabama. So if Justice Haynes needs some more time before he's ready to get back to a full go, I think Jordan sent a message that he's a pretty good backup, isn't he?
No doubt about it. If your backup can go out and get you 133 yards and, the key touchdown of the game. And Jordan Marshall is a very quality back. He's different than Justice Haynes. He's not necessarily going to hit the hole and run away from the whole crowd. He'll hit the crowd and carry it with him for a ways. Very tough kid, very rugged, does not mind the contact, welcomes it seems like, and but he can break away a little bit and get you some extra yards. So, they're in a good situation there. Justice Haynes, I think, getting better every day. Whether we see him Saturday or not has yet to be determined, but this has been a very good combination of guys, and they root for each other. So good situation there.
Another good situation was Jordan had some nice running lanes on Saturday, even after Evan Link went down with his injury. I mean, the O-line looked really good, I thought. Blake Frazier, you mentioned him, stepping in at left tackle for Link, the next man up thing. He was overall very impressive, wasn't he?
No doubt about it. He graded out as high or higher than anybody on that offensive line. And, we talked to one observer who is pretty close to everything and said that the mistakes that he did make were mistakes of aggression, and the coaches never mind that. It's like, okay, if you're going to make a mistake, do it at 110%. And that's what they were getting out of Blake Frazier. And of course, you've seen solid efforts out of Greg Crippen at center, the senior, and just all across. You got Giovanni El Hadi back at that left guard spot. It's been at times patched together offensive line, but they've got guys that are coming on and younger players that are coming along.
Yeah, getting a lot of guys rep and things look like they're coming together. And, when Evan Link went down on Saturday, it looked like it would be a serious lower body type of injury. So I think everyone exhaled a sigh of relief Monday when Sharon said he's going to be back sooner than later, or sooner than expected. We really don't know exactly what he injured, though, do we?
No, it's lower body type of thing. And I know they were checking him out, and sometimes, those they turn out to be not as extensive. A lot of times it'll be a ligament of some sort that is not as extensive as they thought. And so, very good news that Sharon brought out about Evan Link.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bryce Underwood, once again, did not look like a freshman for most of the game. 21 of 27 passing, which included 4 more drops, or he could have been 25 of 27. 230 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He's just getting better before our eyes every week, isn't he?
Yeah, I thought that was his best performance all season on Saturday, and you can see the confidence growing. You can see the accuracy and the different types of throws that he can make. And, there's nowhere but up to go for this young man, and it's really good to see. It's had a perfect time for Michigan for him to start to be getting settled in. He's got he can do it with his legs, he can do it with his arm, and as he's starting to make a connection with several different guys. When you've got an Andrew Marsh making a spectacular one-handed catch. We've talked about the drops, but the other side of it is, you got guys that are starting to make some plays, and certainly Marsh's catch was emblematic of that. I mentioned the tight end depth with Zach Marshall and Deacon Tonelli coming through, a couple of younger guys, a couple of guys that we hadn't seen a ton of, but stepped up and did a really nice job in that game. So absolutely, this is you've got a freshman quarterback who has been in a situation where he's had 2 of the tougher road games you're going to see at Oklahoma and at USC. Those were the games, the regular season games that I predicted this team to lose before the season started. And I wasn't shocked that happened. But now you are in a situation where, okay, you really figure you have to win out. And I think you've got a guy behind center that is settled in now and ready to really take it up a level or 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. Things are looking up on the offensive side. And over on the defensive side, it seems like the last 2 weeks, USC's and Washington's game plans were get the ball out fast, negate the pass rush, and make Michigan cover, especially, the linebackers. Jimmy Rolder and Cole Sullivan stepped up and were excellent in pass coverage Saturday, weren't they, John?
No question about it. First of all, you had a little bit different deployment, a little bit different. I think they learned a lot from that USC game where they were really caught and USC took advantage of their aggressiveness. And so you kind of figured, okay, Washington is going to want to rip that page right out of the playbook and use it against Michigan. Well, it's a game of adjustments, and Michigan certainly made those adjustments. And the guys that you referenced are guys that stood up and did a fantastic job. Cole Sullivan jumping that route to pick off the pass to set up the go-ahead touchdown was, in my mind, the play of the game. And Jimmy Rolder just keeps coming through with play after good play, an interception himself. And he's playing as well as anybody there. Combine them with Ernest Hausman, who gave us a scare. He went down on a play in that game, but he's all right. And so, the really high-level linebacker play out of this defense. And they proved once again that, okay, one bad outing, which it certainly was at USC, is not going to take down a group that has great potential. And they bounced back in a very forceful way.
A couple of weeks ago at a Monday presser, Sharon was asked a question about his defense, and his reply was something like, I don't know, I let the wizard handle that. And we know the defense isn't perfect, but, Wink is tinkering and building like he did last year, it seems to me, with November in mind, isn't he, John?
No question about it. All you have to do is look to the end of last season, the last stretch of games. Everybody remembers Ohio State giving up 10 points down in Columbus and overwhelming Alabama with the help of a monsoon early on, but nonetheless, they were coming in waves on the defense as well. So no doubt, this is now last year, Wink Martindale had a couple of NFL tackles, defensive tackles up front, first rounders, but the fact of the matter was he didn't have them against Alabama. They were no longer in the lineup. This is a very solid defense. You don't have maybe the very highest top-end level up front, but you have great depth. And we talked about the linebacker play. You've got young guys in the secondary coming on. Jaden Sanders, the freshman cornerback, continues to deliver. They played that game. I mentioned the guys that were out on offense. They played that Washington game without their two starting safeties. Mm-hmm. So you continue to see the next man up element for this team. They're building some depth, and as we know, Wink Martindale, as this season goes along, if it's anything like last year, this team will be very ready to go down the stretch.
Well, not much motivation is needed for this Saturday. At first I was puzzled why NBC would want this game as their Saturday night coast-to-coast game, given the fact it's not a top 10 or a top 20 matchup. But even outside of Michigan, this rivalry game has a lot of interest, and I've got to think the network knows they're going to get big numbers on this game, aren't they?
They certainly will, and they know anybody that follows the rivalry knows it'll be a little played with an edge, little chippiness, two programs that do not care for each other the least little bit. And, you talk about Sharon Moore, his key word is urgency, and that means going to Spartan Stadium and trying to get off to a fast start because they don't want to be dealing with they want to take the crowd out of it. They want to place the seed of doubt in Michigan State's mind, and it's certainly they come in with the seed of doubt because they haven't won a Big Ten game yet. But they will have an urgency and desperation all its own, which can lead to all sorts of desperation play. And, we've seen it in this rivalry before, mm-hmm. where Michigan State really gets after it, tries to get that crowd into it, they get things whipped up, get some momentum. So, this game will feature some of the highest intensity of any game you'll see all year, and it does not matter what the numbers are for the records coming into it.
No, it doesn't. We've learned that in the decades past, because if you look at the numbers right now, this on paper looks like a mismatch. I mean, Michigan State offensively has been very bad in stretches and then pretty good in stretches. So it seems to me the keys on Saturday night for Michigan have to be, make Aiden Childs uncomfortable, take him out of his game, because he is, let's be honest, he's a very talented quarterback, and if he gets hot, like he did in the first half against Indiana last weekend, he can cause problems, can't he?
Absolutely. No question about it. He's completing passes at a 65% clip. 10 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions this year. He can throw the ball, and he's got some receivers that can get it done. Amari Kelly being chief among them. I would advise Michigan against being in the situation that they were against Washington, even despite the fact that was a very solid all-around game. You're talking about a 7-7 game at the half, and if that is the case up in Michigan State, that just gives the home crowd hope, fuels the sideline, and all that sort of thing. And some funny things have happened up there over the years. Mm-hmm. You don't want to put yourself in a place where that's the environment to see those funny things happen once again.
Well, defensively, for the Spartans to stay in this game, they're going to have to play at a level that no one has seen them play at in the first 7 weeks. So I've got to think that if Michigan plays clean, executes Chip's game plan, which I'm sure will be good, maybe hangs on to a few more passes this week, I mean, the Michigan offense is going to get their points, aren't they, John?
They should, no doubt about it. Michigan State's averaging, giving up 34 points a game, and they just haven't been their typical selves on defense. Certainly not 60 minutes of unnecessary roughness that we remember from a few years back. But you've got to get it done. You've got to score the points. You can't drop the ball on fourth and short. You can't fumble the ball, or you can't have it tipped away, and do the things that keep you from moving the chains, keep you from scoring. Perfect start for this team, for Michigan, would be to get the ball early, go right down and score, and then tack another, whether it be through a defensive setup or a pick six or whatever. If they get out 14-0 in this game, then I think the whole atmosphere changes. But the longer Michigan State hangs around and keeps Michigan's point total down, the more it's just one of those things. Could this be the night? Could this be the day? And you have to avoid that situation if you're Michigan.
Oh, amen. And we have seen that happen all too often over the decades, haven't we, John?
No doubt. And that's exactly what Sherrone Moore's talking about when he says the word urgency. Because if Michigan goes in there, maybe say the younger players that either haven't played against Michigan State or haven't experienced a loss to Michigan State, which is most of them, that can make you, okay, these guys haven't won a Big Ten game, and we're just going to waltz in there. And you cannot go in with that attitude, because then you will get smacked in the mouth, and things can snowball on you.
Well, no doubt about that. Final question before we let you get away, John. I don't usually like to peek ahead on the schedule too much, but when we look at Michigan's schedule, the next 4 games, all of them very winnable. Now, they won't be easy, but they are winnable. You have a young team. You have to get them mentally prepared for this stretch run. And then comes the Ohio State finale in the Big House. So despite the ups and downs that we are experiencing watching this young team, as we head for East Lansing on Saturday night, we know everything they want to accomplish, it's still right there on the table, isn't it?
There's no question about it. I mean, you've only lost 1 game in the Big Ten. You've lost 2 overall, but you really have to avoid that 3rd loss if you want a serious chance at the college football playoff. But stranger things have happened. Certainly Michigan's a heavy favorite against Michigan State, and we've talked about that one. If they play like they can, they should. This should be, on paper, a win. Same thing, Purdue. You're coming back home. Purdue is not good, and you will be a significant favorite in that one. Then you go to Wrigley Field for a neutral site game. Basically, it always feels a little neutral when you're playing Northwestern because Michigan takes over half the stadium, and they will be very well represented over in Chicago. Northwestern's picked up a few wins, but they haven't gotten any real signature Big Ten wins thus far. Maryland out at College Park could be a little bit of a trap game. Yeah. They've got some talent at times, but again, Michigan has played very well most of the time that they've made that trip, and by then they could have really, you're building some serious momentum. And every game that Bryce Underwood plays, he is getting farther and farther away from being a freshman quarterback. And then you get to November 29th. I'm hoping for something, say, in the high 20s at Michigan Stadium, flurries abounding, and just one of those days where you just are set on edge for Michigan, Ohio State. And we all know what can happen. And Michigan will go into that game certainly not fearing the Buckeyes, not especially the guys from last year's roster that went into Ohio Stadium with zero chance to win, according to everyone, and then did what they did.
Well, we are all looking forward to that already, but first things first, let's get over to East Lansing on Saturday night. Take care of Sparty. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So with us today has been senior editor John Borton from the Wolverine magazine. John, always a pleasure having you on the show, and we thank you for being so gracious with your time, and we look forward to another visit soon.
Great to be with you, Mike. Enjoyed it.
On Quick Hits today, no injury updates since Monday, which has become the norm this season. We won't get anything new until the official roster for the game is released on Saturday. Here are a few game day notes of interest for this week's big rivalry game. Michigan holds a commanding lead in the rivalry with 74 wins against 38 losses. There have been 5 ties. The first meeting was in Ann Arbor on October 12th of 1898. A 39-0 Michigan shutout victory. Last year's game was in Ann Arbor on October 26th, a night game that saw us hang on for a 24-17 win. Head coach Jonathan Smith is in his second year as head Spartan. He's 8-11 heading into Saturday's game. His overall record as a head coach is 42-46. Last year, the Spartans finished 5-7 overall, 3-6 in Big Ten action. Their last bowl appearance was in the 2021 Peach Bowl, a 31-21 win over Pitt. The weatherman says it will be a chilly but dry night for football. Temps around 50 at game time, slipping into the low to mid-40s by late evening. Kickoff is scheduled for just after 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The game will be televised nationally by NBC. So here we go. A tipping point game for Jonathan Smith and his program. For Michigan, a chance to beat your rival in their place and pick up momentum for the stretch run. It's Michigan versus Michigan State, and that is all you need to say. Expect the unexpected. It should be fun. Next week, we return to the friendly confines of the Big House to entertain Purdue. On Tuesday's Visitors Edition, we hope to have Boilermaker radio play-by-play voice Tim Newton. On Thursday's Michigan Game Day show, our guest will be Trevor McHugh from On3's Maize and Blue Review. So make sure you join us. That does it for another week. I'm your host, Mike Fitzpatrick. Have a great Wolverine weekend, everyone. Think victory beats Sparty. Until we meet again, take care, and as always, go blue. Thanks for joining us today on The Michigan Man, here on Wolverine Sports Radio, a member of the V Sporto Network, and in partnership with SB Nation's Maize and Brew. Our listener lines are open 24/7 for your calls at 313-263-4842. That's 313-263-4842. Or email us at themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. That's themichiganmanpodcast@yahoo.com. The Michigan Man Podcast is produced at the studios of Robin Lynn Productions, Allen Park, Michigan, and is not affiliated with the University of Michigan. Go Blue!